I never got to meet my great-grandfather, Frank Rush. In fact, no one I know in the family did, since Frank died in 1934. I do know he was a commercial baker, and he left behind a few artifacts, including his handwritten cookbook. I'm boiling down and making Frank's recipes as a tribute to him and to other family members that we'll never get to meet. I'm Tom Mattingly, and this is Baking with Frank. Welcome back to Baking with Frank. So, first, before I forget, because I always forget, just take a second here and hit that like button and then follow. Go ahead and follow Frank. Frank goes interesting places. So today, we're gonna make some sugar cookies, which, sounds like a simple thing. But Frank has 4 recipes that he wrote down. So this is kind of a compilation Frank. So I kind of took the best from each one and, well, the best time, well, we're gonna find out, right? But we're gonna put a couple things together here and make some sugar cookies. So I've already taken the liberty to weigh and measure and do all of the math on these things. All right, so in the bowl, I've got half a pound of sugar, 8 ounces of white sugar, and a 1/4 pound of butter. So 1 stick of butter softened, of course. Best thing is just before you do this, let it sit out for about an hour. I've done it the night before, I've done it in the morning, I've done this in the afternoon. And if it's a hot day like it's been lately, it's supposed to be 91 today in Cincinnati, Ohio, the butter gets a little liquid. So set it out for about an hour, it should still be cool, and then stick it in the bowl. So I've beaten those 2 together, and we're going to add to that a couple of things. So first is a 1/4 pint of water. That is a half cup, but a 1/4 pint using Frank's measurements, and a 1/2 ounce of milk. That is a little pludge that I did on the top, because I wasn't gonna measure out a 1/2 ounce. So that goes in, and then 1 egg. There we go. Look at that. It's not a farm fresh egg, but it's a Kroger fresh egg. And we're gonna set those off on the merry-go-round, see what happens. Okay, so that's mixing, and to that, we're going to add in a teaspoon of vanilla and a teaspoon of almond extract, just for flavor. Now, to note, Frank did not use vanilla or almond extract in his recipes. I'm putting it in because, as we've already established, I like the almond flavor, and vanilla's good and everything. So, next thing we've done is, here in the scale, I have weighed out 1 pound of all-purpose flour and 1/8 ounce of soda. So we're going to put that in a little bit at a time. Mom spoon. And see where we get. We're gonna do that slowly so it doesn't go everywhere. All right, here's the last little bit. There's the last little bit. Yeah. Going in. We'll get all that out of there. All the nooks and crannies. We're gonna let that stir for a second, and then we're gonna move on to baking. So I'm gonna say the dough's a little wetter than I expected. That's probably because I added an egg. But we're gonna go with it anyway, right? Frank didn't have refrigeration, and while our friends from the Doughboy have their roll that's in the fridge section, I mean, what's the worst that can happen? I get flatter sugar cookies, I'm still good. And if it turns out right, I might get black and white cookies, which, if you haven't had a black and white cookie, shout out to my friends in New York, Lisa, Fran, and others, love you all. Yeah, they're tasty. So, but then of course I gotta figure out the icing. But anyway, back to us. So, oven is preheating to 375. Here's the dough. You can see it's a little loose, but in this house, we don't judge dough. Well, we do, we just don't talk about it. So, I'm gonna scoop these out. I'm gonna put them a little further apart than I probably would normally, just because I don't know how far they're gonna spread. So we'll do 6 per sheet, and then we're gonna put them in the oven for somewhere between 5 and 15 minutes. I'm gonna start at 5 and see where we are. We'll be back. So, not a disaster per se, but they are awfully puffy. So for the second batch, I flattened them out. We will find out what happens. All right. So I took the liberty on the second and third batches to add some Demerara sugar to the top because, as we know, I like that. But also, what would any American do? I don't have a lot of faith. The flattened ones are still puffy. I wasn't here in 1934 to know what sugar cookies looked like. I'm guessing you weren't either. I'm suspicious. I'm not spitting it out, but I'm not rushing back either. Probably will be better if I put some icing on them. We'll figure that out later. But for my money, we're gonna look at other recipes for sugar cookies. Frank, this is number 1. Let's not make this a trend.